Selangor wants to empower its people through welfare programs, sustainable development and efficient, transparent systems and services. All those are included in the Golden State's first Selangor plan, RS1, which is the framework for mobilizing its policy for a period of 5 years. The plan from 2021 to 2025 involves projects and initiatives worth a total of 212.44 billion ringgit. With that, can Selangor retain its position as the top contributor to Malaysia's GDP? I'm Manita Wu, and this is Money Matters. Currently, Selangor contributes about 24.8% to the country's GDP. Now, with the RS1 planning, the state expects to contribute 30% to the country's GDP. That's by 2025. To speak with us more on the RS1 plan, Menteri Besar Selangor Incorporated Chief Executive Officer Norita Muhammad Siddiq is here with me in the studio. Welcome to the program, Norita. So, Norita, let's begin with the roles and functions of Menteri Besar Incorporated. Since its establishment in 1993, how has its role evolved and has there been any evolution over the pandemic?
Okay, first of all, thank you for inviting us and having me in this program, Money Matters. MBI Selangor is a strategic investment arm for the Selangor state government. We manage the asset and investment of the Selangor state. We have been incorporated for the last 28 years. MBI as a group, we have about 25 active subsidiaries.
Wow.
Yeah. So MBI manages a broad portfolio ranging from technology, which is our subsidiary SSDU and Smart Cell, trade and industry development, which is spearheaded by Invest Selangor,
right.
Infrastructure and utility, property and affordable housing, industrial products, environmental preservation, which is spearheaded by our subsidiary Landasan Lumayan, tourism, Tourism Selangor, education, which is Unicel, right. The private university in Selangor, and last but not least is social economic empowerment. Okay, but basically the role of MBI is to oversight and stimulate the investment of growth, economic growth in Selangor. We also create new economic growth and new jobs in Selangor, as well as to improve the quality of life and also to undertake corporate social responsibility. That will be our 4 main roles.
The CSR as well on top of that.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We are obviously excited about the newest plan that's out there. It's the first of its kind for Selangor. Recently, Menteri Besar Selangor has launched, indeed, the first Selangor plan, RS1 2021 to 2025. Can you elaborate on the purpose of this initiative?
Yeah, I think the whole citizen of Selangor is excited as well. I think this is the first time any state having this kind of strategic document. RS1 or Rancangan Selangor yang pertama. What I would like to quote is during the Chief Minister of Selangor speech in the Dewan during the launching of RS1, he quoted Abraham Lincoln. He says that we must think anew and act anew. We have to think and plan a bigger agenda for Selangor to prepare us for the future. He further said that we have gone through several crises like COVID-19, economic shrinking, flooding, as well as social economic issues. Having said all this, we must be resilient towards all these crises and issues that we face. So hence, RS1 will be the single source document which will act as the state 5-year development plan to guide the state administration for short-term, medium-term, and long-term strategies. And it is also a document that will move Selangor way forward to be developed as a smart, prosperous, and livable state by 2025. And we must not forget that in Malaysia we have rancangan, now is rancangan Malaysia ke-12. Yes. So rancangan Selangor pertama is actually an extension of RMK12.
This is actually very interesting. I didn't know that. That is an extension. That was a new addition to Rancang Malaysia, the 12th. Okay. Can you tell us more about how, as the GLC of the Selangor State, what MBI's role is in achieving this new target of being 30% contributor to the national GDP by 2025 in RS1?
Okay, your question is becoming more interesting.
We're warmed up now.
Yeah. Okay. MBI as the GLC of state, in RS1, there are 4 strategic themes. Basically, it is economic strengthening, social inclusivity, driving sustainability, and smart government. The first thrust, economy strengthening. MBI is given the trust by the state government to spearhead this trust, which is the
biggest contributor.
The biggest contributor and the main role.
Yes, the driver of growth.
Yes, the driver. And through all this document, there are about 262 programs and initiatives. From this total of initiatives, 70 of the projects, or 27%, or 1/3 of it, is actually will be delivered by MBI and group.
Wow, 1/3.
Yes. And from the 14 macro indicators that is mentioned in RS1, about 8 indicators, or about 60%, involve economic issues.
Right.
So that shows how important economic strengthening and how important MBI and the group in achieving the trust that been given to us to achieve the target set in RS1.
Thank you very much for that, Puan Norita. We're going to take a quick short break. Do stay tuned as we return with our guest. You're still with us on Money Matters. We're speaking with Norita Muhammad Siddiq, the CEO of Menteri Besar Selangor Incorporated. Thank you once again for being here. And we've got good discussions going now that we've warmed up. Let's go on to a meatier subject. What are some of the anticipated challenges that you see in achieving these targets for Rancangan Selangor 1?
I think the most challenging one will be achieving 30% GDP, contributing 30% GDP towards the national GDP, as well as target investment of 25 to 35 billion per year. right?
It's hard, considering especially current geopolitical circumstances.
Precisely, and as well as when we want to implement these projects and high impact projects, funding will be also an issue. Yeah, that is why that we will be looking into public and private initiatives, as well as other incentives that the government need to support us.
Yes.
And also, I think the most important factor will be human development. All these projects and initiatives that we plan, we need human capital to implement and to make sure that everything is run smoothly.
So skilled labour.
Precisely.
And the fact that we still have a skilled labour shortage.
Yep.
How will the first Selangor plan, RS1, contribute to the state's development? I mean, it's quite a lot there that is expected to be contributing to the state's development. As you mentioned earlier, it's definitely more on the economic thrust. But can you elaborate more on that?
Okay. In terms of the economic strengthening trust that I mentioned, there are actually 9 focus areas. Okay. Actually, there are in the document, there are 2 elements of the economic trust, which is by sector and by geography base. In terms of sector, there are 9 focus sector. I need to read it.
Sure.
It's ports and logistics, one of the sector, tourism, digital economy, aerospace, automotive, electrical and electronic, machinery and engineering, halal industry, life sciences and agri-tech. So these will be the main focus areas and main drivers of the Selangor economy to 2025.
Wow.
In terms of geography-based development, Selangor will be divided into 3 main economic zones. Okay. To the south, there will be one economic zone which will be called Integrated Development Region in South Selangor, or in short, IDRIS.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
It will cover about 16,000 hectares with a GDP of 1 trillion ringgit. And this economic development will cover districts such as Kuala Langat and Sepang. And some of the peak into the high impact project in Idris will be Carey Island Special Economic Zone, as well as Selangor Aero Park.
Wow,
Right.
That sounds interesting, especially in the I can see the socio-economic aspect in the Carey Island development for the Orang Asli communities there.
The second one will be in central of Selangor, which is Selangor Maritime Economic Development Zone. It covers about 28,000 acres, hectares, sorry, 28 hectares along the Klang River and island around Port Klang.
Wow.
Okay, it will. The development zone will create about 2.2 billion investment value. 2.2 billion investment value, and some of the high impact project in this area will be such thing as the integrated water resource management project.
And that's waste and as well as fresh supply of water.
Precisely. Okay, and thirdly, which will be in the north of Selangor, Sabak Bernam Development Area. In short, we call it Sabda.
Sabda.
Right.
Wow.
Covering an area about 1,317 hectares and investment value of 1.9 billion ringgit. And Sabda will be creating about 3,600 jobs. And some of the high impact projects in Sabda will be the Smart Selangor Agro Park and Central Chicken Slaughterhouse. There will be a big slaughterhouse in Sabda.
Of course, this will also feed into the halal development industry, right?
Precisely.
Okay.
So with these 2 elements, based on sector and based on geography, this will be the main contributor towards Selangor development.
Well, Norita, that's really very organized, and it sounds like there's a whole plan and a lot of GDV and investment required. On that topic, in terms of attracting investment into Selangor to roll out these plans, how would MBI play a role in the next 5 years, especially ensuring that this target is achieved?
We need to get industry players, the citizen of Selangor, and as well as the government bodies to work together with us. In terms of engaging the industry players, knowing their needs, knowing their pinpoint, and also what are their vision, as well as the people and the citizen of Selangor. We need to know what are their needs and wants.
True.
So all this we need to work together, and together we achieve what we are supposed to do.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Puan Norita, for this section. It is time for another breather. Don't go away when we return on Money Matters. Welcome back on Money Matters. We are having the pleasure of speaking to Norita Muhammad Sidek, the CEO of Menteri Besar Selangor Incorporated. Now, Puan Norita, if you can share with us a question on many people's minds as they anticipate Budget 2023, what's on your wish list?
I think the main point in my wish list is ease of doing business. Yeah. We need to attract more people, investors, local and foreign, to invest in Selangor. And to do that, we must have to have ease in doing business. In Selangor, I think what will help will be digitalization. My wish list is to have Selangor 100% fiberized.
Wow. That's a good goal.
Right?
Yeah.
Second is cost of doing business as well. Things are getting more expensive. Raw materials, labor costs, land costs. So what I hope is if the state government will find more innovative ways how to reduce the cost of land premium. Maybe the state government would look into paying it in stages and long, something like that. Yeah, right, longer installment. Yeah. And another thing which is important to the economy development is talent development, like I mentioned just now. All this, what we plan with the 9 sectors, with the 3 economy zone, it will not be successful if we don't have skilled people to run it, skilled labour.
Which fields are you looking at in terms of skilled labour?
The sector that I mentioned just now, one of it is aerospace. Yeah, that is one of. It's not new actually in Selangor. 60% of the aerospace industry is already in Selangor.
There, exactly.
Right, but we don't have enough skilled labor to support this industry.
Because the demand is growing.
Precisely. After COVID, actually, a lot of the aerospace industry players told us that they have a lot of orders. Those backlog that they have a few years ago, now it's been renewed. They have a lot of orders, and they are looking for skilled labourers to help them in producing the materials and the design of parts of the aeroplane. To do that, actually, the state of Selangor, together with MBI, we have a plan with about 10 aerospace industry players in Selangor to develop a skill set platform.
A training program.
It's a skill set platform whereby youngsters in Selangor, when they go into this platform, they will see that how do they start in the industry. They might start with the floor labourers, I mean technician.
Ground staff.
Yes. Then from there, how do you develop their skill? A technician to engineers, to scientists, to data scientists, right?
Is that part of Kerjaya Selangor?
Kerjaya Selangor, yeah, that's true. It's part of Selangor Kerjaya, but this skill set is actually a special platform whereby they can see their career pathway.
Wow.
In aerospace industry, because where we go through together when we have a chit chat with all the industry aerospace players, they told us that a lot of our youngsters, they wouldn't want to maintain to work more than 5 years. What they do is after graduate, they will only work about 2 or 3 years, and then they will
switch careers.
They will go switch careers, or they go to somewhere else, to Singapore or Dubai, right? But with this program, when they are clear on their career pathway in Malaysia, they will stay.
Yes. Especially hopefully when there is a demand, and if the industry is growing, hopefully in tandem, that the package of what they're being offered as well is going to grow in tandem.
There's another special program that we have with the aerospace industry players, is an apprenticeship program, whereby on the first phase will be training about 30 apprentices between Selangor State and GE. We will train these apprentices for the diploma level for 1 year, and the degree level for 2 years. They will be trained by GE, and then GE will absorb them as their employees.
That's a fantastic program. Tell us more about your other items on the wish list. You mentioned something about communities, startup communities.
All right, okay. We must be aware that SMEs are actually the main contributor towards, main supporter towards industry development in Selangor. And before they become an SME, they start with a startup, right?
Yes, right.
And there are a lot of startups in Malaysia, in Selangor, and we need to support them in terms of giving them, incentivize the creation and the technology that they come about, because they might not have enough investors who are interested in what they are doing. So the government, through our subsidiaries, we support this startup company, this startup community towards as angel investor, and develop this startup. And I wish that more government projects or contracts are given to this startup.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have for our discussion with you, Norita. We appreciate your time with us this evening. Now, before we end the program, here's something of the domestic gas industry. Azaria Tagaya recently spoke with the Malaysian Gas Association. Let's take a listen.
With me now is Secretary General of the Malaysian Gas Association, Rosman Hamzah. Now, Rosman, how much has natural gas contributed to the socio-economic growth of Malaysia?
So basically, if you map the GDP growth and if you map the consumption of the natural gas growth, it's basically you can see that it rises in tandem with each other around 1990s to 2010. So gas has been driving the socio-economic growth of Malaysia, and it also enables the expansion of energy access. So how? It's basically throughout the Peninsular Malaysia, we have this gas transmission pipeline called PGU, which is the the Peninsular Gas Utilization Pipeline. So the pipeline basically supplies to all the load centers in the West Coast, including to the power plants, which in turn supplies electricity to the industry and also to the consumers. So combination of all the energy access basically has managed to increase the energy needs of Malaysia and thereby improve the socio-economic development. In fact, if you look into the gas industry per se, it brings in about 135 billion ringgit per annum, and it also provides about 80,000 jobs to the wider economy. And today, Malaysia is basically a next exporter of gas, where we export gas in two forms. One is using the gas in the gaseous form in the pipeline, where we export to Singapore, and we also export liquefied natural gas, which is LNG. Through the sea carriers where we export throughout to the world, especially in the Far East. So our liquefaction plant, where we liquefy the gas into LNG, is located in Bintulu, and in 2021 we basically exported 24.7 metric ton per annum, which makes us the 5th largest LNG supplier in the world after Qatar, America, United States, Australia, and also Russia.
Amazing. Now, where does the natural gas future lie in Malaysia's energy mix amidst the energy transition? Okay.
So first of all, we have to admit that prosperity in the world is not balanced. We have certain regions who are what they call it, encouraging us to race into net zero as quickly as possible. On the other hand, around the world, you still have about 759 million people who have no access to electricity, and about 2.6 billion other people who basically do not have access to clean cooking. So for developing nation like us, whenever we want to prosper or energy transition, we look into balancing the energy trilemma, which is balancing the the energy security, energy equitability, and also environment sustainability. So therefore, when we do talk about energy transition, it must be pragmatic and also orderly and also equitable.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Rosman, for sharing your views with Money Matters.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
For the past half hour, you've been with us on Money Matters. For joining us today, thank you once again, Norita Muhammad Sidek, the CEO of Menteri Besar Selangor Incorporated. We'll be back next week with more money insights that matter. Until then, I'm Anita Wu. Thank you for watching and have a good weekend.